So it's just amazing to have a really kind of impressive response from many journal editors when we started to kind of spread the message and ask whether they consider this issue as an important kind of uh, discussion. And it seems that that is something that everybody is interested to discuss. And that is kind of the opportunity that we are able to talk about this specific issue and how we might be able to push this area forward. So we are working to shape them like a steering committee of people who want to lead the idea of how to kind of promote checklist development and increase methodological transparency in neuroscience. And we are hopeful that those who are interested to join us in the steering committee or in this kind of expert panel to push things forward. So the idea of kind of checklist, I mean, there are areas that they cannot run things without checklist. If you go to aviation, I mean, it's all about checklist. And that is the reason that we do not have that much of incidents and accidents in aviation system, because it's just about quality and it's just about rigor and just about kind of checklist. And those checklists are, I can imagine, they are sometimes really cumbersome and time consuming, but they increase the quality. Or even if you go for clinical work, I wish John Crystal was here today, editor-in-chief of biological psychiatry. He was providing a really nice example or story. He was just telling us in terms of when you go to a hospital to operate on one of your legs, they just scan your badge several times. They check things multiple times, and it just sometimes it's boring. It's just frustrating. Sometimes it's just exhaustive to kind of check everything several times. But at the end of the day, hopefully they just operate on the correct leg and they do not do things that are going to be kind of wrong. So how we can make a balance and discussion about the cost function and how we can optimize the cost function, that is definitely an important area for further discussion. So the idea of bringing together a group of neuroscience and mental health journal editors to develop some like a virtual collaboration and how we might be able to further discuss and how we might be able to not only bring people from, I mean, here in the US or in Europe, but also have global representation with support and help from organizations like IBRO and World Psychiatry Association. I already kind of see Alex Baldacchino from World Psychiatry Association and uh, Thomas Schultz, the president-elect of WPA, was with us today as well. So we open up those discussions, I mean, with other international organizations, how we can have their contribution to the discussion and how we might be able to even bringing people together. And I mean, whatever we discuss today, put them together in a consensus statement about the current status of the field and the roadmap forward, and how we might be able to bring together neuroscience journal editors and develop a consensus statement, and then how we might be able to develop the quality control checklist for checklists, for reporting checklists, and how we might be able to make sure that if the checklist is going to be endorsed, there is going to be a quality control for that process. And the platform for putting the checklist together, I mean, you know there is a platform, it's called Equator. We have David Moher from Equator with us in that steering committee. They are open to have checklists in their platform, or we might need to have other platforms to provide those checklists. And how that could be contributing to the global research culture, not only what we are doing here in the US, but around the world, and adapting different technologies like what Martin mentioned, large language maps. And at the end of the day, the checklist would just promote data sharing platforms. And I think what Simon was mentioning in terms of if we publish the data, that's it. So we have everything. And if the data is there, it's going to be end of the process because the data would have everything inside. I respectfully would disagree with some aspects of that in terms of, I mean, we are already working in Enigma consortium, kind of collecting data for neuroimaging in that consortium. And without the checklist that you need to ask people that, okay, these are the metadata pieces that we really need to have if you want to do any sort of mega data analysis on what you are providing for us, things would be really complex. And I think that at the end of the day, those methodological checklists and data sharing platforms, they need to work together and make sure that whatever data we are providing on those platforms, they would follow some checklist in terms of providing the details, the metadata that is needed to be able to understand, okay, what is the meaning of the results that we have? What is the kind of methodological details that basically provided the context for that piece of data that we have? Otherwise, things would be a little bit more complex. At the end of the day, it's just about sustainability and how we might be able to make sure that those things are going to be sustainable. And I'm hopeful that with the support that we have from NIH Brain Initiative, that would be something that could be kind of happening in the future, while we know there are going to be some challenges. But I mean, the idea of virtual collaborations, and I mean, that is the beauty of now after the COVID pandemic, we are able to just bring people together and collaborate together. And we already have a couple of different international networks that are interested to be a part of that virtual collaboration. So we are trying to bring those people together and how we might be able to collaborate and do things together. So that is the basically the essence of the ideas and the discussion. And looking forward to kind of put things together for the next steps. What we are going to do after this meeting, we are basically going to further discuss about the sort of a consensus statement. It's just a basic document that we all agree about, okay, what are the items that we need to think about for the future and how we might be able to promote the field for the next steps. And if we can agree on a consensus statement, that is going to be a starting point, because we are going to provide a roadmap on that consensus statement. We are already discussing with some different journals that they might be interested to publish that consensus statement of major neuroscience editors. Hopefully that is going to be a document that would stay there as kind of the state of art of the field right now. And then we can plan for basically even developing those quality control checklists and other things that we can kind of promote in the field. So this is kind of an overview of what we have been discussing, but we are interested to have other thoughts. If you have any other remaining thoughts, and if there is anything, and Simon, thank you for joining us. Have a nice day. So we will definitely be kind of in touch and do the further discussions in terms of what would be then the next steps and how we can make those things happen. Any other thoughts that people are interested to share at the end? And Charlie, do you want to wrap up and just kind of say the goodbye notes at the end?
Of course, very happy to. I mean, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for coming and all your very thoughtful contributions. I've been listening a lot and making notes, and I think there's been some very useful points on both sides. I think it's been really helpful, certainly for me and hopefully for everybody else, to get a range of opinions, I think it's fair to say, across a number of fields and from a lot of different stakeholders. So thank you all very much for coming. And I mean, thank you so much for organising and for all your efforts in this. It is massively, massively appreciated.
Thank you very much for joining us. Yeah, I mean, I have a kind of a group of really brilliant postdocs here who are basically supporting what we are doing. I should kind of thank Ali Reza, Arash, Mehran, and Panya, and all those people who are kind of doing stuff behind the scenes. And hopefully the next generation of scientists in the field would have better kind of educational understanding about how to increase the rigor of their methodologies and kind of produce more transparent research. Just amazing to have everybody around the table. Looking forward to be in touch, and have a nice day.